Good morning, I'm Roland Martin. Today on News One Now, Republicans caught on tape in a secret meeting plotting to oust Congresswoman Corrine Brown by packing thousands of non-voting prison inmates into her district. She'll join us on the set to talk about what they're trying to do. At the Congressional Black Caucus prayer breakfast, Reverend Dr. Otis Moss III dropped the mic with this sermon. We'll show you some of that particular sermon. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Also, college students, African Americans, have twice as much as debt as white students. So what can black college students do not to get in debt while they're in school? Deborah Owens will break it down in our Wealthy Youth segment. Also, the NAACP award-winning actor David Oyelowo takes us behind the scenes of his new movie, Captive, plus gospel rising star Jonathan McReynolds joins us to talk about his new album, Life Music, Stage 2, plus his current tour. It's time to bring the funk on News One Now and TV One. An audio recording of a secret meeting in which Florida State Representative Janet Atkins, a Republican, says the way to, quote, take down Congresswoman Corrine Brown is to redraw her voting district to include prisons filled with non-voting inmates.
They're part of the population.
Can they vote?
No, they can't vote. No. So when you take a look at, and I don't know what the numbers are, but you take a look at how many minorities are in the prisons, within that newly drawn proposed congressional 5, how many of them live in the prisons? That's why Corrine Brown is so against having an East-West, because her concern is that they live in prisons and they can't vote. Yeah. So it's a perfect storm. It's a perfect storm. You're now reducing the percentage of minorities within that district, and you've drawn it in such a fashion that perhaps a majority, or maybe not a majority, but a number of them will live in the prisons, thereby not being able to vote. You can actually, Danny, you can be the person that will help get rid of Corrine Brown.
Atkins made those comments during a closed-door meeting of the North Florida Republican Caucus. She went on to explain why she thinks her plan will work.
I understand Corrine Brown's filed a lawsuit, and what I understand about that is that she can't really claim damages until after there's an election and after she loses. And so I think her lawsuit is on ice until, I don't think anything's going to happen with her lawsuit until she's actually harmed.
Now, folks, if you take a look at the current 5th district that Congresswoman Brown represents, you can see that it includes densely populated communities spanning from Jacksonville down to Orlando. Now, if the proposed redistricting happens, the new District 5 would include much of the Florida northern border. The area is filled with a lot of rural regions and 18 prisons. Now, because prisoners cannot vote, the number of eligible black voters would drop 5%. Joining us right now is Congresswoman Corrine Brown. Congresswoman, how you doing?
Fine.
So you got a bullseye on your back.
Absolutely. I knew when they drew it, they drew it to get rid of me. Let me tell you something. I was the first African American to win in Florida in 129 years. And keeping in mind, the area that I represent, the federal courts drew in 1992. And they put communities of interest together. Now, when this map came up, when I saw it, I knew the purpose of the map was to get rid of me. Because 18 prisons, more prisons than any other place in the state of Florida. In addition, if you're if you're a felon in Florida, you cannot vote. So that's the first thing. They pack the district with felons. And secondly, there are people that live in that area that's not in prison, but they haven't gotten their rights restored. So it's another 6,000. So clearly, let's keep in mind, the purpose was to destroy the 5th Congressional District. I was talking to Martin Luther King III, and he says, how come they keep attacking this district? Florida has 27 districts. This one has been in court all of the time, all the way to the United States Supreme Court. Why is it? The people that need African American need the representation. When you look at Sanford, Florida, Sanford is where Trayvon Martin was killed, but Jackie Robinson couldn't live in Sanford. And in fact, 60 Minutes did a
We
special.
say Jackie Robinson when he played with the Brooklyn Dodgers.
That's right.
That's where they had training camp, and so he could not live with the rest of the players in that city because he got so many death threats.
Every night he had to go to Daytona. They gave him a special contract because they always want the team to live together. Well, fast forward, 60 Minutes did a special how children was living out of their cars, washing up at Walmart, going to school because they didn't have adequate housing. Took me 20 years to get that straightened out. But now you tell me the only person that should represent that area is someone that wants to sell public housing. You know, it's not what a district look like. Although they keep talking about what my district looked like, it's whether or not you have representation. When you look at the district, I mean, clearly we live in communities because this is where you told us to live. We live on the other side of the railroad track. You know, I have the area that had raw sewer underground. So I went to I helped them get a federal grant, but I went to the governor, and at the time it was Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush said, well, Corrine, St. Johns County is one of the richest counties in Florida. I said, the area I represent remind me of Haiti. And we got these pockets in Florida and all over the country that have not had representation. And now it's an organized effort to take this representative, this voice away.
Now, you talked about the lawsuits. I mean, they've been going back and forth, and you're right. The courts ruled they threw the districts out because they said how the Republicans drew those districts were unfair, and they've been mandating they make the changes. Now, Atkins, first of all, she apologized for these comments somewhat. But the Republicans in Florida say that this east-west drawing, if you will, that's what Democrats are proposing. So you're really criticizing what they call a Democratic plan.
Let's be clear. In politics, you don't have permanent friends or permanent enemies. You have permanent causes. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Whoever drew the district, they drew the district to take Congresswoman Corrine Brown out of that district, maybe hoping to get additional Democratic districts. You know, a lot of people feel that we can be sacrificial lambs, but we've already given. The 1965 Voting Rights Act is where we gave. We gave blood to be at the table. I told you earlier about Eatonville. Here in 1965, they split the oldest black town in the United States. They gave them a ditch. You call it a retention pond. 40 years later, we're getting ready to spend $2 billion in Maitland, less than a mile from Eatonville. And what are you giving Eatonville? A retention pond. NPR did a special saying that this town would die because you don't have any income. There are 2 national teams that would like to come into Eatonville, but they don't have a ramp. If you are not at the table, you're on the menu. And that's what the 1965 Voting Rights Act says, that we can have the opportunity to elect candidates of our choice.
What was the response? What has been the fallout from this? Obviously, Republicans were shocked that this audio was leaked, that somebody was there recording. And so what has been the response from them, but also Democrats in Florida?
Listen, my phone has been blown up, and it's just not been in Florida. It's been all over the country. And in fact, people in Ohio, they realize that they're trying to do the same thing. There is an organized effort to take African Americans out for whatever purpose, divide our districts, try to get more civility in Congress. We've already given. We have given. As the Pope said, we got a check that came back insufficient funds.
And of course, he was quoting Dr.
Dr. King, yeah.
August 20th, 1963. I want to bring in my panel, Dr. Wilma Leon, of course, Sirius XM Radio, Drew Elons, National Director for Advocacy and Public Policy. Also, Huey Newsom, contributor with Project 21 National Leadership Network of Black Conservatives. Huey, I want to start with you. This is one of the examples that African Americans have consistently said is a fundamental problem. Republicans are targeting African American leadership and trying to use gerrymandering to basically solidify their power. What do you make of this recording trying to pack Congressman Brown's districts with prisoners in order to meet the threshold for African Americans, but knowing full well they can't vote?
No, I think it's detestable, actually. I think as a black conservative, I think the way that we address this issue, we have to, it's not about party, it's about ideology, right? So we as black conservatives are looking for ways to bring conservatism to black America, right? And so I struggle with this as a method to bring, to bolster conservatism, because in my mind, it's political shenanigans as opposed to working within the communities, talking about solutions with a conservative mindset, and then going from there. I think that that's a harder way to bring our ideas to light, but this is detestable. It's not. I can't support it.
And Wilmer, to listen to them say, hey, in order to get recourse, you would have to sue after losing. I mean, so clearly that's the plan here.
That is the plan. It's interesting that this is another secret recording, a la Mitt Romney. Now, Mitt Romney's issue was more class and economic.
And that also was recorded in Florida.
And that was recorded in Florida.
Exactly.
And so here we are now. This is straight race or ethnic politics. And so my question is, where is Debbie Wasserman Schultz on this one? She's from Florida. She's the head of the DNC. This should be a national issue, front and center. And again, another element or piece of evidence as to why the 65 Voting Act is so important, and for the Supreme Court justices to say that this is no longer an issue where this is the fundamental politics of the Republican Party. Case closed, let's move on.
You know, I was listening to what Huey said, and I feel that we talk about how far we've come, but you see we have so much further to go. And it's disheartening, but it is not surprising to have those conversations happen behind closed doors and to be revealed to us, because all it's doing is basically providing us a window into what they're really thinking. And to think about, first of all, I'm trying to wrap my mind around that there are 18 prisons in one particular area.
17,000 inmates.
And 17,000 inmates.
The 17,000 is, no, it's 18,000, but they're African Americans in addition to others.
Right.
Yes.
Right, but I'm just saying it's 18 prison. So I just think about our country and the prison society that we're in, and it's also,
it's
I don't know
business.
Right.
Prison
It's a
industry
business.
is a business.
And I don't know who this Danny person that she's referring to, but again, it seems to me it is it's a business thing, because she's saying specifically, you know about this process, you know about this prison process, and so we're going to make sure, and we need you to make sure that this happens so that she loses. And so it must mean you're doing something great because people are after you.
Question for you: What assistance have you gotten from National Democrats?
Right.
The National Democrat Committee, and yes, the national chair is right there in your state, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Matter of fact, I'm going through her Twitter feed right now, just trying to look for any response to this tape.
Well, let's be clear, I have not gotten any help from anyone, but know that the first African American that was elected from Florida, he won 3 times in the 1800s. Each time they sued the district. The third time they burned down the courthouse, and they still trying to burn down the courthouse. But we got additional resources, and I am receiving help, and I am in federal court. And we are waiting for them to complete whatever they're going to do in Florida. The 3-judge panel is already seated. So no, that dog won't hunt. You know, we have additional resources. This is not the 1800s.
So again, I'm just checking. So, the National Democratic Party has not come to your assistance in any way?
At all.
Florida Democratic Party?
At all.
I wonder if the reason for that is, the game plan is to pack all blacks in all the prisons into your district, but then get other white Democrats in other districts with the way the redrawing is
Well,
happening.
whoever drew the district, not only will it destroy the 5th district, it also destroys the other district in North Florida, which is Gwen Graham. So you're going to get rid of 2 Democratic districts. Now, who drew the district, what they were trying to accomplish, I can't tell you, but I can tell you at the way the district is drawn, the district, the 5th district, will not elect an African American. It will not even elect a white Democrat. So
Okay,
you're going to
the
lose 2 Democrats in the process.
Okay.
All right. Congresswoman Corinne Brown, we appreciate it. We'll certainly be following this case.
All right.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Folks, when we come back, we have our headlines. One case, a kindergarten denied being able to go to school because she has 2 moms. We'll talk about that. Also, another unbelievable case of cops gone wild, caught on tape. A man ordered to put his hands on the car. He does so, and he still gets tased. We'll show you that on News 1 Now. Plus, Reverend Otis Moss III breaks down the state of Black America at the prayer breakfast during the 45th Annual Congressional Black Caucus Legislative Conference. And also, folks, we're breaking down 4 steps students can take to avoid college debt in today's Wealthy Youth segment with Deborah Owens. All of that next on News 1 Now and TV 1.